the conclusions you would probably have to make if you understood the Catholic theology like he did with the good heart that he has. I mean, I'm sure Father Casey has a good heart, and I'm sure that he deeply understands Catholic theology. And so we come to the conclusions that he came to. I don't know, because I had a break in the action because somebody called me and it cut the video off. So I'm not sure where I'm at with this right now. But no matter how hard you try, if you're working with a set of postulates about the nature of reality that aren't taking everything into account, and then but those postulates are still nevertheless a strong model for understanding reality. I mean, just look at Euclidean versus non-Euclidean geometry. And what I guess I'm trying to do is create a projective geometry here, if that makes sense. The idea that all of geometry can be explained, Euclidean, non-Euclidean geometry can be explained through something called projective geometry. Not that I really deeply understand it. It's just something I've been told, and I've done some, homework assignments on it. But, I'm trying to, in a way, I'm trying to create a meta-religion, right? One that foots all the current religions that we have on a better footing so that humanity can move forward in a better way. Because they all are evidently and obviously false, because by the very nature of the very incompatibility. And see, I hold as a postulate that we have a God who triggered this world into existence and cares deeply about what happens. I hold that as a postulate. See, I don't think God's indifferent, but I don't think he's ever intervened or communicated in this world. Never. I imagine if things go off the rails so much that this world becomes so horrible and ugly, you just withhold time from it and it just stops. It would just seem logical to me that an all-powerful God has made every possible emergent world, every single one. And looked at that one and turned that one off. And look at this one. That was really boring. Who cares? Let it keep on going because it's still boring. And then look at this one. Oof. I don't know if I like this one or not. I think that's the world we live in, where God is looking at it. And in a way, he might be asking us, without even actually communicating. We're telling him what we think about this world. Do we want it to continue? Captain Dan on the crow's nest in Forrest Gump. You can't sink this boat. Or, even me at the lowest point in my life, thinking God is right there in my life. And at the lowest point in my life, asking him to let the world continue. You know what I mean? Because that's what I wanted to have happen. I had this powerful sense for the love that God had for me, that he loved me so much that if I asked him to, he would have Armageddon this world. He would have put an end to it. I believed that once. Do you believe that? I actually believed that once. I mean, talk about narcissistic. I don't know. I mean, Jesus either was the only son of God or he was the ultimate narcissist, right? Because it's like, God communicates to me, not to you. Oh, all right. I guess so. Yeah. But I mean, it had an element of goodness to it, because it seemed to me like, maybe even at the time, and I had visions and hallucinations brought on by fasting and prayer and lots of exercise and not smoking and not drinking and all that stuff. And just the celibacy, this whole dryness of life produced, a deeply spiritual event. It happened to me in 1998. Anyway, this understanding came from that, and that understanding was that God's looking at us and he's asking us, do you want the world to continue? Because I could always just turn this off, and I like you a lot, and I like a lot of other people too, and if enough people tell me to turn it off, I'll turn it off for you. You know what I mean? That understanding that I had about the nature of God in 1998, I guess I still hold it. Why not? I mean, it's logically consistent with the understanding that God intensely cares about this world, has never communicated with us, has never intervened in us. Everyone who's ever claimed that God has communicated to them is somebody that was mistaken. But you see, you can have deeply mystical experiences, and once you have these deeply mystical experiences, you can't help but to wonder, did God communicate to me? Read the spiritual exercises of St. Ignatius of Loyola. He'll even talk about, he's the founder of the Jesuits, he'll talk about that I had this moment of revelation that I could never piece it back together later on. Well, in the combination space of all the different ways your neurons can be arranged in your brain, you're going to have experienced all kinds of great things. And the human evolutionary process, has produced various kinds of people that make it more likely for the for people to survive. So we always had this religious class. Look at the Easter Island. Look at they always have this like religious class that kind of like on this side that's able to make pronouncements and judgments about things, where the alpha male over there who runs things, has to respect that part of it. And because you had this divvying up of power in any group of people, that group of people were more likely to be successful, because when you concentrate power into one person, then that's not good. It's not good for the survival of that group. It's not good for long range outcomes. So I don't think God has ever communicated to any of us, ever, not to anyone. They just think he has, and God bless them. But everyone who's ever claimed God's spoken to me, from Joseph Smith, the Mormon, to Mary Baker Eddy, I could go, the founder of the Sikh religion, all these other, I could go on and on and on and on about it. They were just simply wrong. And in some cases, certainly liars. In some cases, definitely cult leaders that just wanted power over other people. And so, but just because religion has been used in many negative ways, and has been used to justify wars, and has been used for all kinds of, crazy stuff, doesn't mean that the enterprise is something you should just disengage yourself from. I stand by something I argued long ago. A person should practice the religion of their mother, demonstrate your loyalty. If you need to say 2 + 2 = 5 to demonstrate your loyalty, if you need to say things that you don't really know are true or don't think are true, in order to demonstrate your loyalty, I suppose you should go ahead and do that, particularly if you're younger, particularly if your mom wants you to. Because your mom cares about your survival, right? And if saying 2 + 2 = 5 helps you to survive, then you go and do it. It's not really hurting anybody, you know what I'm saying? So you just go and do that. I can't anymore. I don't want to play dodgery. If I could change the Bible, the first thing I would rip out of the Bible would be as, where Jesus says, be as innocent as a dove, but cunning as a serpent. Or don't cast your pearls before swine. No, I would replace those verses with another verse that Jesus has. Let your yes mean yes, let your no mean no. Everything else comes from a bad place. The evil one, he says, but I don't believe the devil's there. So I can't play dodgery. I can't play tricks anymore. I need to drive straight at my best approximation for objective reality. And I need to say what it is, without dodging, without tricks, without BS, I have to. I'm driven to do so. I must do so. So much so that I even want to evangelize. I'm tired of other people evangelizing other people with a bunch of nonsense and things that are false. You follow? Every religion that I've encountered, all of them, up to this point, I claim are false. There's no exceptions. Be loyal. Respect and honor the religion of your people. Totally, through your mom's line, because you're more likely to know who your mother is. And moms, I think, are genetically designed to be more careful about the protection and the survivability of their offspring. Which is a whole nother thing to talk about. by the way. I might as well get onto that for just a minute while the idea's on my mind. Like talking about transgendered stuff, just talking about gender. You see, once you come to the realization that it was never God's intention to make men and women. God watched, men and women come into existence. I remember there was this old science fiction show about, the way Enemy Mine. It's a long time ago with Dennis Quaid. Watch it if you ever get a chance. There's this scene in there where the guy is talking about how they give offspring in this alien species. I mean, they don't have a significant other. They just do it themselves or something like that. And the way Dennis Quaid is it's just ridiculous. My point is, I see some person that is clearly a man walking around with a dress on. Do I feel a level of disgust inside of me? Sometimes, absolutely I do. Yes. Well, why? Is there something wrong with me? Something defective about me? That's a human American citizen has the right to do whatever they want to do within the obvious limits where you're not affecting other people. So why should I feel disgusted? I'd be like, wear whatever dress, do whatever you want to do. It's a free country, right? Well, it has become clear to me that disgust doesn't come to me from God. That disgust comes from me from my human evolutionary development. And when times are hard, and it's more likely that you want, you want people to behave according to certain patterns because of the distractions or because it makes it more likely for your group to survive, then anything that goes counter to the normal reproduction of human beings, two young men and women getting together and having a big marriage ceremony, and then the women starts having babies, half of which die. You know what I'm saying? Because this is the history of the human race. And anything that goes counter to that process, people will necessarily feel a level of disgust for, because and pushing in the direction of forcing that woman to have these children and forcing these groups to be together, because it's what was connected to our survivability. And so the more we went in that direction, the more likely we human beings are going to be successful. But you see, we now understand this process. We're now in a new era of human freedom, and we're able to take control of our evolutionary development. We're able to think differently about everything. And so it's like, go slow, go easy there, but be careful about what you're doing. But in the final analysis, I mean, with 7-8 billion people, 7-8 billion different genetic codes out there, man, there's going to be a lot of, and 7-8 billion different human genetic codes out there with all the different environmental influences that they had growing up. It's like, it's so obviously clear that we should just let people make their own choices about what they want to do with their lives. And even in regards to sexual identity and what have you, and they make their own choices, and maybe they make their own choices because that's what they feel that they want to do in their hearts. It's their genetic codes and their environmental understanding of reality, and their environmental pressures are pushing them to be to do things in the non-traditional way. And they also, just like me, in many times in my life, have made actual deliberate decisions in my mind to do things that were not good for me, but were good for other people. I've definitely done that because I have had the intellectual power to do so, and I could see that it was good for me to do this, even if it wasn't good for me to do it. It was good for other people if I did this. So I chose to do this. And so, having this particular understanding of God and this particular understanding of ourselves, that it's science-based, helps me to work through so much of the nonsense that I hear from the conservative right, in America, and also, some of the nonsense I'm hearing from the cultural, the fringe left. I'm able to, see things in a more true way. So, you know, it's all good, man, right? Saul Goodman. Did you ever see Saul Goodman from Breaking Bad? You know, his name's Saul Goodman. Saul Goodman. It's all good, man. I just love that. What was I thinking about? I don't know where I'm going with this. Okay, I'm going to put an end to it for today. I love you all. Peace.